Hello everybody, welcome to day 2 of the Meraki API course, and hopefully you remember everything you learned yesterday where we used curl. And today we are going to walk through the Meraki documentation in regards to the APIs and use curl, which we've learned now, to make some basic API calls to the Meraki dashboard. So I hope that you've already walked through this. This is the documentation on Meraki's website for the dashboard API. So really the most important thing here is that you have to go to your organization and enable API access. This is necessary because it really just opens the gates for us to start playing around with Meraki, and is necessary before we can really do anything. And then the next thing that's very important is you're going to have to go to your profile on Meraki, which will be over here, and you'll have to do a creation of your own Meraki API key. So as you can see, I already have my key over here. You'll have this option here where you can generate your own new API key. If you already have a key, then that's amazing. If you created a key before and you don't know where it is, then you will have to create a new one and revoke your previous key. But yeah, it's quite simple, so let's get into it. Let me just walk you through the Meraki dashboard API. And so this has some great examples of the types of things that you can imagine you could possibly automate with the APIs. I would recommend reading through this. As you can see, they're mentioning V1 over here, which is the current version of the Meraki APIs as I make this video. Perhaps by the time you watch it, they might already have V2. And so just be careful, as it says over here. In this video, we'll be using V1, but if V2 is out, then you would have to type in V2 over here instead of V1. So just be conscious of that. And the goal here today is to really get started, and I will walk you through this entire getting started guide. So hopefully you have your API key already. I will link to the dashboard documentation if you don't, and you want to definitely activate that. So the goal here is to walk you through, and you can hopefully skip some of the errors that people make when they're initially getting accustomed to the APIs, some of the common mistakes people make. So the most important thing before we can continue, I want you to open up some kind of text editor. I have Pages over here where you can get your API key, which is mine right here, which I will definitely change by the end of this course, so you can't mess around with my Meraki dashboard. So once you have your API key, the next thing we're going to do here is just get started. So make sure you have the text editor open. Don't skip this part because we're going to be doing a lot of copying and pasting, and it's just going to make things efficient if you have the text editor. So here is the basic Meraki API call via curl, and as you can see over here, it's going to give us the organizations that we have access to. So let's take that in over here. All right, not how I was expecting that text to turn out, but not a problem because the terminal doesn't really care about any of that. So where it says Meraki API key, you have to enter your API key, and these make sure you skip these brackets, as we definitely don't want those. So now that I have my API call ready, let's enter that into terminal. Boom. And as you can see, here are all the organizations that I have access to. The organization ID is quite important, as it allows us to tell Meraki which organization we want to be playing around with. And the one I'm looking for here is Boundless Digital, which is right over here. So the organization ID appears before the organization name, and mine is 849070. So let me just write that down here so I can copy and paste that later, which I will need to. So let's go back to the API documentation page. So they have examples of what the request should look like when they return. And as you saw, this is what I had as well, but just multiple times, as I had access to multiple organizations. If you have access to one, you'll only see one of these. If you have access to multiple, it might look a lot like mine. So now that we have the organization ID, we can list the networks of the organization. Awesome. So let's copy this API call over. And this is why I was asking you to use the text editor. As you can see over here, we have this field organization ID, which needs to be replaced by the organization number. And then obviously the Meraki API key as well, which we'll toss in right over here. Excellent. All right, are you guys ready? As we can see over here, we have all of that network data, which should look something like this as we have the example return. So this is basically repeating for all the networks, and as I have quite a few, there's a lot of data. But the main thing we need to take account of here is the network ID, which will enable us to get further as we follow these steps. As you can see now, we've made a few calls to the Meraki Dashboard API and we've obtained some information. And so I'd like you to do the next steps and try them on your own. Just remember what we've learned so far, that we have to replace these fields with our own custom network IDs. And similarly, we're going to have to do the same thing over here when we get the serial of the devices. In the next step, we're going to have to put that number in here. But hopefully I've shown you the ropes enough now for you to be able to do this by yourself. So good luck. And before we leave each other, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the Meraki API endpoints, what they are. So you could imagine endpoints basically as points of contact with the Meraki dashboard. So on the dashboard, we have all of these configurations, all of this information, all these network-wide settings, security settings, and within each of these, we have API touch points that allow us to affect all of these different things. And so over here, they have listed all the different types of endpoints, and they are categorized by device, by network, by org. They even have them categorized by different types of products. So I would definitely suggest that you take a look and you go through these. I'm just going to go through a couple of them right now. So just pay attention to the fact that they have these 4 types of API calls: the get, put, delete, and post, which is what enables us to do pretty much everything within the realm of the Meraki APIs. And yeah, I think that's enough learning for today. You have just used APIs to get information from Meraki, which is awesome. And in the next steps, we're going to be using a really cool tool called Postman. And I will see you guys tomorrow as we do that. Have fun. Bye bye.